when I first played Fallen Order, I got really confused because every time I would have a fight, I would go and heal, and then I was getting confused where these enemies kept coming from. And it took me like a good 5-6 times of meditating to realise that enemies respawn.
Yeah.
And I was like, where are they coming from? And I was like, oh, and then I saw it. I hadn't clocked it, and it said, oh, all enemies have now respawned. I was like, perhaps I should stop doing that. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Code and Colour.
Here we discuss all things animation, digital drawing, and video games.
Jesus Christ, we got there in the end. Just for full disclosure, this is the 4th time we've tried to do this intro this week, because every time I was kneeling down and come back up again, Josh was crying with laughter, so good. The host that can keep it all together, that's me. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Josh, who just I can't get words out today. You know,
Flapping.
Struggling, yeah.
Absolutely flapping. I want to ask how you are, but you're doing my head in, but I'll ask anyway. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I've had a productive week, specifically between the hours of 8 o'clock and 2:30 in the morning, where I've done a lot of drawing, which we will discuss later.
Ooh.
And
the mystery.
Yeah, and just been watching a few action films and trying to. I've been getting into The Expendables. I don't know if you've seen it, Tyler.
I actually haven't.
You've not seen The Expendables films?
No, never really.
Well,
Never really piqued my interest, if I'm being honest with you.
It's just cheesy action, and you know what? When you've got to switch your brain off because you have a child that's been
You got a child, Josh?
just a machine of attention and love and affection, is what I'll say. It's good thing to turn your brain off. I've also been playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well done, Josh. Finally getting on the Pokemon bandwagon. It's only been 26 odd years.
Yeah, and much to your dismay that I bought Pokemon Let's Go Eevee because you want me to buy Arceus?
But Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is
Arceus. Yeah.
good that you knew that.
Yeah.
Or was it Arceus? I never remember actually. Or Scarlet and Violet, because they are actually so good.
I think
so good.
It shows my age. I'm just a sucker for the original 150. So
Yeah, but Scarlet and Violet is so good. Like you're not confined to a one path direction of that game. You can go in any direction and do it all in your own order. It's great. It's super great. Yeah,
How have you
been? Good though. I'm not too shabby as always. I've also been doing a lot of drawing, which Josh and I will discuss later. Don't think I've drawn anything else, sort of my own accord, really. No, I have not, but I've been playing a lot of Jedi Survivor. Still not finished it, taking my time with it. The reason it's taking me so long is because there was a massive Fortnite Star Wars event, and being the big Star Wars nerd I am, I had to indulge.
Do you like Fortnite? Do you like Star Wars? You've never said.
I do. And when the two worlds collide...
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that when you like something and then something else that you equally love just as much just kind of like joins with it. You're like, this is
Exactly.
It's like my birthday. Yeah.
Who doesn't want to run around as someone like Ariana Grande with a lightsaber? Do you know what I mean?
I tell you, if Batman popped up in the MCU, I'd die happy. I'd be
I
like,
don't think...
it never would.
That isn't going to happen, yeah.
It never would, but there's been crossover in the comics. But if it did, and they got like Christian Bale
sooner
locked
get
up.
Picard in Star Wars, I think, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You might do.
I don't think so. But yeah, other than that, not a lot. We obviously have both been watching the brand new season of Star Wars Visions, which we're going to be talking about today. I'm buzzing. You finished it, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Fantastic. Shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Sweet! So, Star Wars Visions is back, and with an absolute banger of a season this year.
Yeah.
So we had the first season 2 years ago, which was predominantly anime. It wasn't predominantly anime. It was all anime. All studios out of Japan. I'm going to say they're all out of Japan. But anyway, the style that was in the first season of Visions was anime. In the second season, they've kind of broadened the horizons a little bit, which I think is a fantastic move for the TV show. So this year we got a lot of different animation styles, a lot of different studios all over the world. We had studios from as far as Korea, South Africa, to as near India, to as near as Ireland. 2 studios originated from Ireland. Triggerfish, which are also South African, but they have a studio in Ireland, and Cartoon Saloon, which are based in Ireland as well. Overall, a really good season this year. I think a lot of like so much better than the first season. I think.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the first season had a few misses. I think just because anime got a little bit repetitive, if I'm being honest. For an anthology show with one style of animation, it got a little bit repetitive for me. I do really like the first season. Some of the actual stories are fantastic. I think I was just a bit bored of the way it was executed. What about you? What do you think of it this season?
Yeah, I think it's a marginal improvement over the first season. It's the thing I remember from the first season is the lightsaber umbrella that I can remember, the spinny lightsaber. But like, yeah, you are right. Like it was very anime, very sort of like Seven Samurai kind of thing, and they just sort of leaned into that. And I can't actually think of any other episodes.
The Seven Samurai one. So the Seven Samurai is one of my favourite films of all time. So anything by Akira Kurosawa, I'm a huge fan of, right? You know, in Ghost of Tsushima, the ability to play in a Kurosawa style is a win for me, right? And in that first episode, the Duel, which is the black and white one, apart from the red lightsaber, is fantastic, right? That episode is so Kurosawa, it's fantastic, and I love seeing Star Wars go in that direction. It's twice we've seen very Kurosawa heavy Star Wars now, obviously the other being the Jedi episode in The Mandalorian when we first see Ahsoka in live action. Yeah, that is a very Seven Samurai influence, and it's fantastic. I think what happened with that first season, the Duel is the first episode, and I was like, oh,
yeah, here we go,
amazing, right? Yeah. Here we go, and kind of immediately nosedived.
Yeah, you have the episodes of like the twins, and it's just too out there. And I think when it's...
And the band one.
Yeah,
really
the band
like
one there. Yeah, that one, yeah. So, for me, I enjoyed the first season, but the second season just eclipses it completely because they have the stride, and they kind of, I think you'll agree, they kind of borrowed from like Love, Death and Robots this time and made,
well, they've obviously seen the success of that and gone, we want in on this. Yeah. And rightfully so, right? Me and Josh were just saying before we started recording this, I think things like Love, Death and Robots and Visions is such a wonderful thing for the animation industry. It gives those small-time studios an opportunity to sort of stretch their legs and put themselves on the map. And I'd argue, even across both seasons of Visions and all 3 seasons of Love, Death and Robots, there are studios that have gone, wow, I want to see more of their work. And like, I think when we look into season 2, you know, we open with another banger of an episode, but I'd like to talk about that one in a bit, just because there's a few. But just for an early point, the first season opens with an absolute banger of an episode, and I was worried, again, I was very worried that we were going to do the exact same thing as last season, but we didn't. This season it kept going, and I think it's just because it's refreshing, because you get very different styles of animation from these different studios all over the world.
I think...
Go on, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think this is a good time to be, you know, a fan of Star Wars, and like we're saying, they're pulling from Love, Death and Robots, but like another thing that I do like is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They did their What If TV show, and if they did something like Visions, where they took different characters and gave them to different studios and did different things and give them free reign, it'd be a license to print money. You know, they tried to do it with What If.
It would be fantastic. I could see that working, and it's not something I'm actually opposed to. Like, it's its own version of an adaptation that I think is something that is deserved for these studios. These studios, right? A lot of these, especially the ones that are like in Chile or Spain, right? They probably never thought in their lives they would work on a Star Wars project. And they have to have that opportunity and to get to tell a story that's completely original and their own and in their own style that's a win for me, right? That puts them on the map, and people are going to watch that because it's on Disney. We're not talking about a small time thing. This is Disney. People are going to watch that, and because it's got that Star Wars label on it, it's automatically going to rack up those viewers, and people are going to get intrigued. I have literally just been saying there's a few of these studios that I want to see more of what they've made.
Yeah.
Because some of it is fantastic, and I agree. Like, if Marvel did do What If in that style, I think that would be fantastic as well. I think Marvel are missing the trick there. I think Marvel are missing a trick with a lot of things compared to Star Wars anyway. Yeah. But I think, these things started out as comics, especially Marvel. Marvel, right? They started out as comics and then transitioned quite naturally into cartoons. It makes sense to see these in cartoons beyond what we are familiar with, that very American style, that Robert Marzullo style that you were talking about last week. Those sort of styles, we've transitioned beyond that. I'd like to see more.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that's where Visions works. Now, I know we both agree that the Sith, the first episode, is probably the best one on the season.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a few others first. So let's go through them all. And we'll do number 1 last.
Okay.
So number 2 was an episode from Cartoon Saloon, which is Screech's Reach. Now, this is the one, they're out of Ireland. It's such a fantastic episode, and it's terrifying. Just one of those things that's it gives Star Wars a horror element, but it also is really, like, just FYI, there's going to be spoilers, really subverts expectations.
Yeah, like the way it ends.
I don't think anyone thought she was going to go and wish to become a Sith. Like, she thought her whole destiny was to become a Sith, and it is just like, wow, your whole destiny is to butcher hundreds upon thousands of people.
Yeah, but like the way that she's sort of manipulated by the obviously the master of the Sith, that is the Sith Lord, or it is in this case, is weird, because it's like, oh, now I will see you when she's killed the other opposing forces.
It's almost like, because she got that calling, right?
Yeah,
and she had to go and take on the ghost of Screech's Reach, who just turned out to be a Sith, but I think wasn't actually wanting to be a Sith. I think she was just an exile in hiding, right? I think she wasn't. From the vibe I got from her was that she wasn't trying to be a Sith.
She was trying to do the right thing.
She was just hiding.
Yeah,
she was just trying to hide, but obviously the Sith can't have that, and like the rule of thumb for Sith, there can only ever be 2, right?
Yeah. Which I think is a stupid rule.
Why?
There's so many mediums where you look at the Old Republic, and you see like the cinematics, and there's like 15 Sith fighting 15 Jedi. I just need
but
that
they're never.
life.
You've always got a master and apprentice, right? And but we have more as Sith anyway. We got the Inquisitors and things like that, but they're not Sith. They're not fully Sith.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Dark Jedi. I think you'll always have multiple like Force wielders on both sides. Star Wars has one weird caveat that unfortunately means that one can't exist without the other anyway. In order to keep the balance in the Force, one has to be there. So I quite liked that one, and without saying it kind of adhered to that rule. But I liked that this woman appeared at the end after she killed, and we were like, it's like she's going to become a Jedi. But it's very clear that she is not going to become a Jedi, and this is just a weird sort of kind of, you can see why Palpatine is it's a law that you can't resist, right?
I do think as well, like in this season especially, there's a lot of like
dark side influence.
Well, no, not that, but it's just like everything that happens, it's always like, oh, this person has to go on their journey alone. This person has to come with me alone, and like
there's a lot of destiny.
There's a lot of like people just taking kids away, and it's like. It's weird, like
you know what? Yes,
it is.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Bandits. We'll talk about it. But yeah, you've got the same thing in Bandits of Golak. You've got the same thing in Our Song.
I have a question for you.
Go.
What do you think inspired the animation style for episode 2? Because for me, I think it looks very much.
Felt like, what is that? What is that TV show? I always think of it. It's not even a very old show, but it's very old style animation, like like almost like the snowman kind of animation. Like it was almost like it's all hand drawn kind of things.
I got some Roald Dahl vibes from it.
Interesting. That Roald Dahl but dark.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Roald Dahl is dark anyway, but
It seemed like
interesting.
It seemed like it was very refined, but at the same time, it was very rough. Like when she's screeching and she's going, it's like chaos.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and just like angles and sharp stuff and just going at it and yeah, I kind of looked at it. I was like, this looks very. If Roald Dahl was on like acid, this is what I would see.
It probably was anyway.
Probably,
But
yeah,
yes,
probably.
you are right. You are correct. I do actually see the influence, and I liked that style. I liked that it kind of felt a bit traditional, which I thought was fantastic. So the next one was In the Stars, which was a great. I'm really into stop motion and claymation kind of stuff. Anyway, I know we talked about Pokemon Concierge coming out at some point this year.
Yeah.
And that being a claymation stop motion. This is obviously one of those sort of vibes. I thought it was fantastic. I really liked this one. It was kind of the natives with the water. What did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it. It was a different take. It was a different sort of like species of people that I'd seen.
Yeah, I don't know what they were.
They were cool. They were well animated. I liked the premise that it sort of sets up the story and goes, here's what's happened, here's how we're here, and here's what we're doing. And then they try and sort of go through, and I think the whole premise of it is just trying to get a bit of clean water. And then
and the Empire being the Empire,
are just horrible.
not having it.
And then they end up, sort of doing what they need to do and salvaging it. But it deals a lot with being alone and I quite enjoyed. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good episode. For me, it wasn't a standout.
No.
I don't think it was my favourite, but I'm gonna save the next one for a bit later. We're gonna skip to number 5, and that's Journey to the Dark Head, which was by the way, the In the Stars one came from a studio called. Let me just get it up. I did just have it here. So it's from Punk Robot, which I believe are South African. No, they're the ones from Chile. They're from Chile. So
Big up Chile.
yeah, fantastic one. Really recommend that. Really, if you like claymation and kind of artwork, this is definitely your kind of vibe. So the next one was Spy Dancer, which is from Mir Studios, which actually, if I'm being honest, is probably my least favourite this season.
Spy Dancer?
No, Journey to the Dark Head.
Oh, you said Spy Dancer.
I definitely meant Journey to the Dark Head. I'm really sorry. Journey to the Dark Head, which is from Mir Studios. They are Korean. It's the one. The only thing I liked about it is it had a really cool cast. It had like... Watch me not remember now.
I'm trying to remember that.
So this one had Ashley Park, who people would have seen in Emily in Paris. She's in the recent TV show Beef. Had Daniel Day Kim, who is the Asian villain in just about everything.
Fire Lord Ozai.
He's Johnny Gat. Oh, of course he's Fire Lord Ozai, and he's Johnny Gat in Saints Row. Yeah. I didn't really like this one, if I'm being entirely honest with you.
Question. So now it's coming back to me because there's a lot of episodes and a lot of things happening in between. So when he gets burnt at the beginning with the lightsaber, does he burn his mouth?
I can't remember. To be honest, it's not really that memorable.
Because he has a little scar on his face, and I'm like, he gets like tagged at the beginning of the film by Daniel Day Kim's character. And then they go and do what they need to do. But I really enjoyed it. And I like the fact
it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good. It was. Yes, it's the weakest, but the weakest is still stronger than a lot of the episodes from last season. So it was good. I just think it was my least favourite this season. It was graphic. It was.
That was clean. And then the flying around, and I thought, I enjoyed that.
I think that's what I like about that one, because it's the same with The Pit. I think something that I really like about anime is it pushes the boundaries of what they think is acceptable. Like what is acceptable in more Eastern parts of the world for the audience is very different to what we accept as a Western audience. So I think, when we see a kids show with darker themes like in Airbender or Clone Wars or Rebels or things like that, we're not used to that, but those sort of things do crop up a lot in anime. And I think that's what I quite like about these sort of Asian based ones, because they do push the boundaries of what you wouldn't do, and they you know, push the limitations of it. So I think that's what makes it good. But I don't know. I just found myself disengaging with that episode a lot. It's not really a lot that I remember.
It was nice to see.
Apart from I just couldn't. To be honest, I spent half the time thinking, "Who is that voicing the girl?" And then it clicked. I was like, "It's Ashley Park." Of course, it is.
It was nice to see another Jedi Council than the one we already had. I thought it was quite good, and like they were deliberating ideas and like, should she go on this mission? Should she do this? And then it's sort of like more of the episodes coming back to me now, because obviously the season's been a banger.
Yeah.
Some more than others.
So good. I think that's the thing with an anthology show. There's so much to remember because it's not just one focal point. You know, you've got self-contained stories that all have different outcomes and characters and worlds and things. It's like, okay, that happens in that one. So the next one we've got is Spy Dancer, which comes from Studio La Cachette, which I probably just butchered in name, but I think these are one of the bigger studios that are signed up for it. So they have done things like a few episodes of Love, Death and Robots, most notably done Sucker of Souls, the episode of that. They also did the Netflix show Primal, which, if you haven't seen it, amazing. Actually, really good show, to be fair. So definitely recommend that one. And they did the Spy Dancer, which I think you really liked this one, didn't you?
I liked it. It was...
The art style was one of the strongest, I think.
I like it because it made me feel better about my art as well. Like not as a dig towards that studio, but like
it felt very simplistic.
But you knew exactly what it was. You was like, this is not what a stormtrooper looks like, but that's a stormtrooper.
Yeah, and I liked that they had fat stormtroopers as well.
Yeah, and like I liked the twist in it. I liked the I liked the fact that
a twist.
she's like hardcore, and there's not a lot of sabers in it, but I like the fact that there's a lot of story.
There isn't a saber in it, is there?
No, there's not a saber in it at all, which is good, but she still manages to be a badass.
That K2 unit is evil as
well. Like that's the thing as well, like Terminator, Star Wars, why are we not doing that? Like, why are we not having K2s?
Well, I think that is definitely what the vibe was when they introduced the K2 units.
Yeah.
Which I think they were first introduced in Rogue One.
Menacing.
Or maybe Rebels, actually. Might have been Rebels first.
Like, if you hadn't got a lightsaber...
I think they both came out at the same time.
If you hadn't got a lightsaber, how are you taking that thing down? How? Well,
yeah, they
clearly,
are evil.
You know, there is a way. And we won't spoil it, but there is a way to take it down. But, you know, it was relentless.
Yeah. So, the premise of that one is it's, I think, 2 dancers, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then... But one of them is a spy. Spoiler alert. Spy dancer. And then they get attacked by the Empire.
Because it's a stormtrooper theatre, isn't it? Oh, it's a theatre.
Yes, but she's a rebel.
Stormtroopers, yeah.
But she's a rebel. And then the general who is leading the militia of Empire soldiers.
Who stole her child.
Out to be... No. Is her child.
No.
That's what she's saying.
No, but why she's trying to kill him is because she thinks that's the guy who stole her child.
But then it is her child.
Yeah.
Which was a fantastic...
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. And I liked that it wasn't a reunion story that ended with a happy ending. They still went their separate ways.
And and it sort of left it on like a cliffhanger, like he pulls because they have like horns in the species has horns, and these are like filed down, and his eye patch is missing an eye, and it's like that's her son.
I wanted him to take the monocle off and reveal that he had the other coloured eye, which I thought would be cool.
Yeah.
It was one of those ones very similar to Screecher's Reach, where I wanted to see more.
Yeah.
I wanted to see beyond that one. So the next one is The Bandits of Golak, which is from 88 Pictures, based out of India. I personally really liked this one. I think it was one of the most colourful things. It's definitely the most colourful, other than Sith.
And musically inclined as well.
Very musically inclined. I think it was very obvious before even finding out where the studio's from, where this studio is based. Which I liked, though. The characters all, even like the alien species of Star Wars, they all had very Indian, Indian heritage kind of vibes to them, which was really great. And I thought it was a really cool scene. The runaway train kind of vibe, thought it was fantastic. The ending when they get to that weird, essentially the Jedi temple,
Do you know what it's? This was a reviewer who was talking about the episode. He said that the premise of the episode is how the British like invaded India, and like in this case, the British being the Empire is the bad guy, and that they're trying to sort of like escape and survive, but it's like rooted in like actual history.
Yeah,
and that when he spoke about it, it was like, oh, that's a good sort of take on it.
I think Star Wars has always been like metaphors for history, right? The Empire and the Nazis are almost identical.
Yeah, iconic. Yeah,
like so like everything they do is very, very much identical.
Yeah.
Like that has always been a thing, right? But that's interesting, actually. I really like that, and I can see how the Empire being the British Empire works in that one. I liked the Inquisitor turning up in that one. I think
fierce battle.
It was cool. It was a good battle. The classic trope of the elder lady turning out to be a badass warrior. The only thing I've actually seen online about that one is, where did the rest of her walking stick go when she pulls the lightsabers apart? Because she kind of holds it and then just but it's like, where did the rest of the stick go?
Yeah, she's
and then when she puts them back together, the stick magically reappears. I'm like, that's kind of weird. But
I really
liked that one.
Yeah, I like the bait and switches that as well, when she's like levitating and stuff, and he's like, stop doing it, and she's like, it's not me.
One of my favourite gags in that one is those two aliens, and every time he gets hit on the plate, he keeps blaming the other alien.
Yeah.
I thought that's such a good little reoccurring gag that continues throughout the whole episode. I liked it. I thought it was fun. The animation very much reminded me of something like Arcane. Not as clean, but certainly in that style.
Told the story.
That kind of 3D animation. Huh?
It told the story. It was serviceable for the story. Like, it was,
yeah,
wasn't
I think it was great.
But it was really, really good.
I liked it, yeah. I just found the little girl annoying. I just thought to myself, this whole thing wouldn't have happened if she just didn't take the flute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a spiral of events, and then it's just like he's now on top of the train, and he's
actually the girl. Yeah. So the pit, again. So this is the only anime one in it, Japanese, and
I want a fan.
You look like you've got a lot of thoughts.
I want a fan of this.
It was very, very political.
It was very on
Very,
the nose.
like,
I want it very on
It
the
was
nose.
very sort of a metaphor for classism.
Yeah.
And minors and things like that. And just basically Thatcher.
It was just it was just a bit like, come on, take some more. Come on, have some of that. And you're just like, no.
It was good, but I think what I really liked about it is it actually felt like the stormtroopers were evil.
Yeah.
Because we always just think of stormtroopers being sort of dumb. And that's the thing with Star Wars, is all their enemies are just dumb.
Yeah.
So it was quite nice to see them seem menacing.
Yeah, and
because that's not something we get very often.
And in a bad way as well.
Like, they didn't just shoot him, they threw him down the pit. So the premise of this one was... this is from a studio called... I really need to have these ready, I'm really sorry. So these is... Oh, God, here we go. Dart Shitagio, which is from Japan. David Diggs plays the main character, which I thought was cool. Stephen Bloom is in it as well, who... He voices Zeb in Rebels, and he's voiced Wolverine a few times. So he's in it as well. So an American cast, which is what I initially thought was an American animation, because I remember messaging you about this one, thinking the animation reminds me of Airbender a lot, but it is actually a Japanese studio. I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting that our main character didn't succeed.
Yeah.
It also definitely, because all the main characters in it were of different ethnicities.
Yeah.
Per se.
It made it more of a class
thing,
didn't it?
Yeah. It was definitely a metaphor for classism in that one, and just sort of diversity. So I liked it, but I can see why people wouldn't like that one. It kind of sapped a little bit of the enjoyment out of Star Wars. And if you'd have taken the stormtroopers out of it and just replaced it with normal soldiers, no one would have batted an eyelid and thought it was Star Wars.
I think
it was the least Star Warsy yet.
No, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was. On a side note, if you like that animation, there's a good TV show on Netflix called Yasuke, which is about a black samurai.
That's got Lakeith Stanfield.
Yes, it has.
Main
and it's
samurai,
a banger. It's a banger.
It is a banger, to be fair. You're right. It is an
same
absolute
sort of
banger.
animation style. Love it. It's great.
Yeah,
No,
really do like that one.
I agree. It felt like it was trying to push down a story.
Push an agenda.
Yeah, push an agenda. That's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, push an agenda. And I think that when he was like shouting in the streets and nobody was listening to him, it was just like, come on, you know. And do you know, when I was watching it, I got very Dark Knight Rises vibes. You know, climbing out of the pit.
Right. Yeah.
And I looked at it, when you look up and you see the big circular pit, I'm just like, this is Dark Knight Rises. He's got to climb out of a pit. You know?
Yeah, literally.
And he's going to go save Gotham.
Yeah.
Well, he's not though.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought he was going to go and get the help he needed, and he didn't.
Yeah.
I quite liked that he sort of drew the attention of the upper class civilians of that city that they created.
And but he just, I like Star Wars to have a bit of meat to it. Like I'm as much as you know, me and Tyler are very different opinions on Star Wars. He loves the politics. He's here for the opera. I'm here for people just getting chopped apart. And just
I'm here for it all. I love it all. Like I'm just here for world building in itself.
Give me good action.
I can appreciate the fighting, but I can also appreciate the intricate sort of side of it with the politics and stuff. So I did like the pit. It definitely wasn't my favourite though. And then that moves us on to our last episode called Owl's Song, which is a beautiful stop motion film that looks like they're made out of sock puppets.
Yeah.
And this one is from a studio called Triggerfish, which originated in South Africa. And they, again, as I said earlier, have a studio in Galway in Ireland as well. I liked it. If I'm being honest, I thought it was a weird way to end the season.
Ooh, okay.
I thought it was I was almost like, oh, I feel like I need one more.
Yeah, like a showstopper, like a here's how we end season 2.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I was a bit like, oh, I think it was a good episode. I would have preferred if it was earlier on.
Yeah.
It was a bit underwhelming for me. I did like it. It was really, really nice. The Jedi design in it is sick. She just got this wide brimmed hat. I thought she looked badass. But yeah, I don't know. Like, so it's about this girl called Owl who has this ability to, with her voice, she can sing, but it does something to the kyber crystals and they react in a certain way. And then again, probably like the second or third story. It's the third time this season a child has been taken by a Jedi.
Exactly.
And taken to. That actually is the third. So we've got Screechers Reach, the Bandits of Golak, and Owl's Song, where the climax of that is a little girl gets taken by a mysterious old person.
Yeah. into a pit of water, like into some steps under some water, and you just like.
That's in Bandits.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Owl's Song, it was good. I don't think it was anything to phone home about, if I'm being honest. But
yeah,
I think it would have been. I think I'd appreciate it better if this season had reshuffled a few episodes. Like, I would have even preferred like Bandits being the last episode, because I think it needed to end on a strong note, because I think the pit lacked a lot of that sort of action that I needed something to hype me back up again.
I think you're right, and I think what they should have done is done the episodes back to front.
Nah, I think the Sith was a good one to open with.
Really?
Why don't we talk about that one? Why don't we talk about, or would you rather talk about I Am Your Mother first?
Let's get the bad one out of the way first.
Right, I don't think, right, so I Am Your Mother, which is from Aardman,
Stupid title.
the only British studio to have submitted a film for it. It is from Aardman, who you will know from Wallace and Gromit, Flushed Away, Shaun the Sheep, Chicken Run, I Don't Want to Be a Pie,
I don't like gravy.
And they made a short film. Now, don't get me wrong, it isn't your everyday Star Wars. Josh didn't like it. I really liked it. I just thought it was lighthearted and fun. The premise about it is this Twilight girl wants to do this race that's organised by Wedge Antilles.
Good callback as well.
Yeah,
I like that.
which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to do it because she's embarrassed by her mum, and her mum's like shit. But then her mum inevitably ends up racing with her anyway, and they have this sort of mother-daughter vibe, and they in 16 minutes go through this journey together, and by the end they're like, oh my god, mother and daughter are so strong. They started out weak. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a nice little break from some of the action to enjoy it. It was very well made. I loved that it felt like Wallace and Gromit in Star Wars. I just thought it was fun. Like, I don't get why you didn't like it.
Right. The stop motion films go. The other one, the one with the stars, that was stop motion, wasn't it? That was a great stop motion episode. It's just too weird. It's too far. Like, Wallace and Gromit and Aardman Studios do not belong in Star Wars. It was just... The humour was off.
I think they do, though. I think it was so fun.
It was so weird, and I was just like, I was completely like, no, thank you. I barely watched it. I don't even remember the ending. I was like, nah, I'm just completely out of this one. I'm waiting for the next one to roll through because it's just.
Oh, I really liked it.
My mum's got a really crappy, ship, and then they've got to win the race. It was all cliche.
If I'm being honest, I think the story is the weakest element of it, but I think the execution of it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think the other stop motion animation films did it better. It was just
cool.
too weird. It was too I appreciate being creative and enjoying it, but Jesus, it was too far out. I was like, no, thank you.
It was just cool seeing notable Star Wars species, being Wallace and Gromited, like the Wookiee, and there was a little Jawa at the start. I thought it was fantastic.
That pulls his arms apart. I thought that was quite funny.
I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. I really liked it. It made me laugh. It was really enjoyable. Fantastic episode. Definitely not my weakest. I think you're saying that's your weakest, though, yeah?
Yeah. There's either that or The Pit was my weakest ones. I think it was.
Mine is Journey to the Dark Head. I don't even know why I didn't like it. Maybe I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll change my mind. But the best one of the season, and we've been dying to talk about it, is Sith. And it's the opening episode of this show. And within 3 frames, I was like, I'm hooked.
Oh, yeah.
Just
100%.
I can't describe it, but... So this is done by a studio called El Giri, who are based in Spain. And honestly, they didn't need to go that hard. They just didn't need to go that hard. They just came in and went, fam, it's done out here, yeah? You're not even going to watch the rest of this season. And
you don't.
It really set the precedent for the rest of the show, and I think it set the bar quite high. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them have reached it. I think Screecher's Reach is definitely up there. I think Bandits is definitely up there. In the Stars is really up there. The Spy Dancer, they really hit. But I think if someone was to ask me what I remember most from this season, it will be that first episode. So it follows a Sith who no longer wants to be a Sith and is in hiding, but then she is tracked down by another Sith and is told that she has to return, to which she doesn't want to. And
she likes to paint.
It's just fantastic. She likes to paint. There's a lot of art influence in it, which loved. And it was just fantastic.
I'm going to...
just so amazing.
I'm going to say it right now. That art style will be the next... Will be the next Spider-Verse. Will be the next art style. Everybody will copy that. I promise you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's very similar to it anyway.
Just the colourfulness and the sprays of paint.
It was almost... It was very poetic and almost slightly theatrical.
Yeah.
The way everything moved, right? The blades, the way they intertwined, the kind of... When it's on her, like for a bit, everything around her goes dark, and then suddenly everything's white and like really colourful.
The droid.
The droid was amazing, and I just can't get my head around how much I loved it.
Yeah. Action was great,
insane.
and she was badass. It was a chase sequence. It was everything I want in Star Wars. Everything, as a character.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is, and I said this to Tyler, and he just agreed straight away. It was like, how have they managed to write a character better in 15 minutes?
Better than Rey.
Than they did in Rey for 3 films. Yeah.
It is interesting to me that they in 15 minutes I was entranced, captivated in
absolutely.
this short film. I was like, this is amazing. I could have watched an hour and a half of that.
I tell you though, one thing I've not noticed before, and it was a new thing in there, was the double different coloured lightsaber.
Yeah. I liked that as a sort of. It was almost like it was like a visualization of her conflict, right? Which was, but I liked that it was yellow, because yellow to me almost sort of suggests that she's not quite back on the light, because she'd be blue or green, but the yellow kind of suggests to me that she's like trying to get back to the light, but isn't. So she has a red double-ended lightsaber that's half red, half yellow.
I love that,
and I thought it was a really cool kind of pull between the both. Oh, it was so good. It was just amazing. I think I want more of it. I wanted more of that. And so it's from Elgiri Studios, who I don't know much of what they've done. There isn't a lot to look on their website.
They're on my radar.
Oh my lord! They made a short film called Alma. Have you ever seen it?
I'm aware of it.
So it is dark. So it's about a little boy it's like in this Eastern Europe like esque city,
right?
And it's quiet, and or like a village, and he's walking down, and there's like a doll shop, but there's no one in there.
Oh, and he opens the door, and he gets and he
turns into a doll.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But he gets lured in by a doll.
Yeah,
and then he becomes a doll,
and loads of kids are in there.
It transpires that every doll in there. So they made that.
Oh, I like that.
That is fantastic.
That were weird as well with that Alma. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no wonder. It comes from a good pedigree.
Yeah, that is a great short film. So I think they're going to be one to watch, because that is truly magnificent. Yeah, so fantastic. Definitely give Visions a watch. I think overall, what would you give it out of 10?
The episode or the series?
The season. Just season 2 as well.
I'd give it.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
I was gonna give it an 8, and I would knock 2 points off of Pitt and Aardman. I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I think overall, I think it is one of the, like, you can tell every studio has poured their heart and soul into making these episodes. You really can, and you can see that these studios have been clawing for this opportunity, and Disney have presented 9 magnificent pieces of work. That props to Disney, to be fair, for such an opportunity, because it's very left field for them. For being truthfully honest, I wonder how much influence Filoni had in allowing that to happen, because you can tell he's a big lover of animation, given everything he's made. So I think it is fantastic. I think it does lose a few marks in some of the storytelling. Some of it felt a bit out there for me. But I think, again, that's because these are from studios that we're not familiar with. Like, we're very used to British and Americanized stuff. The tradition of storytelling comes, the things that we know in our traditional storytelling come from those two parts of the world. You know, we are dealing with very different parts of the world here, and I think it's interesting to see sort of hints of their culture and traditions into the story, and that. So for that aspect, I think it's really great. Just a few things I'm like, I wasn't a fan of that, but overall, 8 out of 10. And this does lead us nicely into something that we want to talk about. Let's go right back to the start of the episode, when we talked about a lot of the drawing we've done. And I think we spoke briefly about sort of work we want to do going in the future last week, and me and Josh have decided to collaborate on an animated piece. I think we both agreed the two things that we want to do. Animation is going to be a lot easier to achieve than a video game, which I understand. So, in light of Visions, I think we both felt very influenced by watching Visions, specifically that one episode of called Sith. So we have decided to animate our own, our own Visions episode, I guess. I'd like to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Should we get into that?
Yeah, go on then.
So, yeah, as we mentioned, in light of Visions, we've decided to create a short film, Star Wars one. It's quite a bold step to take for our first animated piece. It's probably going to take us forever, but we're doing it anyway. The way we've kind of thought about doing it is, well, we want to kind of collaborate our two styles when we draw, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like we're playing roles as well. I quite like the way that we're doing it, because I'm designing a Jedi and you're designing a Sith.
Yeah.
And
which has been fun.
I always feel like I'm playing that part now.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I'm not.
And it's fun, sort of like coming up with the environments and what sort of like we want to do with the story, and try and sort of like give something that's a good quality piece of Star Wars. But then there's that like added pressure of like, this needs to look good, this needs to run good.
Yeah.
And it's we're doing it through Procreate, and we've just downloaded an app called Toon Squid to do a bit of the animation on.
Which is I highly recommend, actually. I'm enjoying it as a software. I got it yesterday. It offers a lot more than I'm used to. It offers a lot more than Calipeg, which is good. It's taken me a bit of time to get my head around. There's not as many brushes in Procreate, but Procreate is just so, I think, accessible when it comes to needing things. That I've just been drawing things as almost, and then just as a layer, and just removing the background and then inserting them, no problem.
Yeah, and like
only thing you can't then do is like rub out and things when you import an image.
Well, like with this now, I think it'd be a good testament to us both and our skill if we can make a Star Wars short off 2 iPads, and go from there.
It's a project, and it's probably going to take us a long time.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect us to get anywhere before the end of summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just thought we'd keep you in the loop. We are expanding Code and Colour into more than just podcasting. We are making a short film, and it's going to take us forever.
But when it's ready,
but we're going to do it. We're going to do it, and it will be a lot of fun. I'm already having a lot of fun designing stuff that we've come up with. So stay tuned for more news. We will keep you guys updated. But yeah, so Josh, I'm going to let you take the wheel on the CNC recommendation, purely because I've had a brain fart. I can't think of anything that I want to recommend this week.
We could recommend our new Star Wars short when it comes out, but at the moment,
we will. We 100%.
We've got a good piecemeal, something to sink your teeth into, which is from the animation standpoint on Netflix, which is Mitchell's versus the Machines.
I haven't seen it.
Good.
This is the first of our recommendations that I am going into blind.
Yeah, it's good. It's about basically a family that's not getting on that well. That a robot apocalypse starts, and they have to pass that. And it's is it directed? I think it's written by Danny McBride, who's from like Pineapple Express, and a funny comedian. And I don't know if it's directed by him. If it is, fair play. But no, he's the dad. He plays the dad in the film.
It's directed by Michael Rianda, who that seems to be the most notable thing that he's made, actually, which is interesting.
The man needs to do
yes,
more.
It does star Danny McBride, Olivia Colman, Maya Rudolph. So some classics coming up there. Eric Andre.
It's really good. It's such a sleeper hit.
I need
as well.
to watch it.
Like you sit there and you go, let's watch Mitchell's vs. Machines. And it's one of those films that like has gained like traction and popularity because people have watched it and gone, this is really good. Like this is.
I love that when that happens.
Yeah. Like it was like a sleeper hit. So I'm waiting for Tyler to watch it and then just get texted being like, you know what, Mitchell's vs. Machines. I wish I'd seen it sooner.
I might watch that later.
It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, that's my recommendation for this week.
Perfect. Fantastic.